Now, I can imagine your reaction after seeing the thumbnail for this video. It might go something along the lines of, what the hell? But let me explain. This video is not as random as it may seem. The guys that brought you videos about trade wars and the economics of dictatorships have not completely lost it. Or at least this is the way in which I rationalize spending a long weekend delving into the evolution of Hello Kitty. During the research of our video, which detailed the many ways in which Pokémon rose to become the most revenue-generating media brand in the world, go watch that video after this one, we were absolutely dumbfounded to realize that as of 2022, the second most revenue-generating media brand in the world is none other than Hello Kitty. Way past the MCU, the Mario Bros. Franchise, or Star Wars, there rests the mouthless cat, bathed in gold, and almost unprecedented omnipresence in modern popular culture. The truth is that I had no idea that Hello Kitty would be so damn profitable. Like, I know it was ubiquitous, I remember seeing it on backpacks, jackets, and all sorts of plushies and other low-end merchandising items like that, but the sheer size of the brand astounded me. Especially because the conclusion we drew from our Pokémon video was that due to the ever-enlarging size of the Pokédex and Creatures Inc. and Nintendo's effort to give personalities to each Pokémon, they were turning each and every one of them into little money-making brand, in and of themselves. But here comes Hello Kitty, with essentially just one character, and dominates the world. For all of those Hello Kitty fans out there, of which there are apparently many, let me say that I know that there are many more characters in the Hello Kitty universe. But even you will have to admit that they pale in comparison to the sheer size of the Pokédex, and their diversity is questionable. I know that Pokémon's designs are often criticized for being derivative. Look at Pikachu, Plusle, Pachirisu, Emolga, and Dedenne. But the Hello Kitty family are essentially the same design with different hats and clothes. But today we will be unraveling the legacy of Hello Kitty, how they reached their enviable spot as the second media franchise with most revenues, an eye-watering $88 billion, and where the white cat might go from here. So, yeah, welcome to probably the most random episode of Rebel Economics. If you're enjoying our content, we would really appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button. We have tons of new content on your favorite franchises, from Pokémon to Disney to the MCU. The Hello Kitty brand was created together with its flagship characters, like Kitty White, in 1974 by Yuko Shimizu. Kitty White is traditionally depicted as wearing overalls or a dress and a pink bow on her head. The mythos behind this character, while basic, was there from the very beginning. Both Yuko Shimizu and the owners of the company that manages the brand emporium that spawned out of her design wanted to firmly establish Kitty White to appeal to a wide audience and to break out of Japan. So they decided that their protagonist would live in a London suburb with her family. This decision, both Yuko and Sanrio, the owners of the IP, thought would bring the design an international feel, and help them expand to Europe and eventually America. Essentially, all of the revenue generated by the Hello Kitty brand comes from merchandise sales, like selling plushies of the Hello Kitty gang or shirts and dresses depicting the character, but also from branded experiences like theme parks and cruises. The idea of Kitty White being a dollar magnet once plastered on every piece of cloth and plastic in the world became apparent early in the life of the feline, with the first branded item being brought to market in 1975, less than a year after her creation. The item was a coin purse with the face of Kitty White printed on it, and it was the first step for Yuko Shimizu and Sanrio to test out the potential of the brand she had created. The relative success of the vinyl purse catapulted the franchise from a cute design to essentially an emblem of feminine childhood in the late 70s. By Shimizu's own record, the Hello Kitty brand was meant to appeal primarily to pre-teenage girls, with the characters depicting scenes typical of the lives of young girls. But then, an unexpected event happened to wash over Japan. that would truly break any limitations that the brand might have had, and it is, in my opinion, the effect that truly solidified Hello Kitty as another one of those brands permanently etched into the core of popular culture, the Kawaii movement. It is difficult to describe what the Kawaii movement is from the perspective of someone in the West, where it is, I believe, not as apparent as it is in Japan, but I will do my best. If I make a mistake, please do let me know in the comments. To put it very simply, the Kawaii culture has been an undercurrent of behavior, generally seen in women or teenagers from as far back as the 11th century, where efforts by many female writers during an era of Neo-Confucianism tried to marry the traditional values with the changing world of the shogunate period regarding how women and girls should act. Obviously, the Kawaii perspective has changed dramatically since. From the early novels that encouraged women to depict childlike behaviors that could be described as cute, or kawaii in Japan, to the modern interpretation of it, whereby some women and men collect items that could be considered cute to wear and thereby evoke a more joyful and young look. The influences of Japanese manga and anime have dramatically influenced the way that the Kawaii movement has developed, and they have served as incredible ways of exporting it to the West and really everywhere in the world. Some of the first waves of Japanese exports of translated and localized anime that reached the West in the late 80s and 90s, think Dragon Ball and Evangelion, helped tremendously in exposing America and Europe to the idea behind the Kawaii movement. As you can imagine, this pseudo-globalized renaissance of the Kawaii movement did wonders for Hello Kitty, a brand essentially engineered to appeal to the cuteness of childhood. It was so much so that it not only survived the decline of the Japanese economy towards the end of the millennium, as the country headed for the perpetual stagnation, but by 2010, Kitty White was bringing in $5 billion per year, and in 2014, 40 years since the birth of the brand, that amount rose to over $8 billion in yearly sales. The impact of Hello Kitty, of course, extends far beyond the mere dollar sales of the hundreds of millions of items with Kitty White printed on it. As it is normally the case when a franchise reaches such notoriety, its influence is expanded to other non-business related areas. For example, UNICEF named Kitty White and the Hello Kitty brand as a whole as official tourism ambassadors for Japan, meaning that in many cases, the experience that many foreigners and tourists would have of the country would be filtered through the prism of Sanrio's feline powerhouse. The influence of Hello Kitty is something I could never have predicted, after seeing it occupy the second place right behind Pokémon in the ranking of the most profitable media brands in the world. But it is undeniable. The appeal of the brand was incredible, and its rise to prominence as an absolute testament of the ability of Yuko Shimizu to envision the modern character to embody the renaissance of the Kawaii movement, and, this is the difficult part, realize her vision in such an effective way. In 2008, there were over 50,000 official Hello Kitty branded items in the world. A decade and a half later, that number is estimated to be closer to 100,000. So next time you go out, I encourage you to look around you and try to discern those black eyes and white cat ears among the crowds. You are looking at a capitalist mythical beast. So thank you for watching Rebel Economics. This was a random topic, I admit it, but the more that I researched it, the more interesting it kept sounding. So I decided to write an essay about it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have not yet subscribed, please consider to do so. We have tons of content coming down the pipeline that you don't want to miss. Also, you could check out some of our other brand related videos, similar to this one but about Pokémon or Funko Pop. Just click the image on the screen. Once again, thank you for watching Rebel Economics, and I will see you in the next one.